100 Pounds Down is proudly brought to you by my agency, JKD Global Travel, curating moments of purposeful immersion for professionals to recharge, recenter, and reconnect with what matters most. Start your journey at jkdtravel.com.
The way that GLP-1s work and the areas of the body that they target, like because GLP-1s do target certain areas of the body first before others. My is gone. It is gone. It is like if a body could have a concave, that is my. It is gone.
Oh boy.
Welcome back to 100 Pounds Down, where we preach the gospel of GLP-1 and the word is good. I'm Kristen DiBiase, and after a lifetime of struggling with obesity, I lost over 41% of my body weight on tirzepatide, also known as Mounjaro or Zepbound, and I'm never going back. If you've been considering starting anti-obesity medications like these, Ozempic or Wegovy, you're already in the middle of your journey, or you're getting close to that maintenance phase and you're wondering what comes next, bring it in. Well, hey, everybody. Jason is back, obviously, and we are doing an episode straight from our hotel room at Disneyland.
Hey everybody, happy to be back. Yes, we're here at Disneyland. Got the little Disneyland hoodie. I'm a consumer, so that's what we do. But today we're going to talk about things we've noticed as we traveled and visited Disneyland in particular that apply to people on GLP-1 here, but also just in your general life.
So let's get started. So the first thing right away is this idea of traveling with your shot. Do you decide to take a trip with your shot or not? If it's a shorter trip, or if it is a longer trip, what are you going to do? So what do you like doing, babe?
I am somebody who does not travel well with shots like that. I have a lot of anxiety over that. So I feel like I would misplace it. It would get warm or weird somehow. And so I will, if it's a day off or even 2 days off, I'll just take an early injection or I'll take a late injection when we get back. But like for this trip, there was a day when we arrived here, the next day would have been our shot day. So I just took it right before we left on that morning of the flight. So I took it a day early, and but you really it depends on your body how it reacts to you. But for me, unless it's a really big gap somehow, I'm someone who rather just have it a little early or take it a little late when I get back. How about you?
Yeah, usually I am a travel with your shot kind of girl. I have a special kind of travel container that you can use for medications that need to keep cool. So it's got like an insulin pen area, and I'll put a link and a photo of what that looks like here right now so you can kind of see what that is. And if you use the link, I could get a couple of cents. It is an affiliate link, but I take this on every trip that I go on since I travel a lot for work.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, on this trip, I needed the space because when we go on a Disney trip, I usually end up buying things and I need the space in my suitcase. So I actually opted this time to do what Jason did. And I took my shot a day earlier than usual. But I usually am a take your shot with you kind of person. Generally speaking, because for me, I travel so often that would just really get me out of sync. I'd just constantly be taking a shot on the different day. So I went ahead and kind of invested in that travel container for my medications. And for Jason and I, we're Plan C people, so it can be a little bit more of an issue of, is it going to get warm or not, versus not, because we don't have the pens. So that's another thing. But there's a lot of people now, obviously, who are doing the vial version. from
More and more.
Lilly. So yeah, this the container that I use, you can fit vials and the actual needles inside this container. So that's why I liked it. It specifically kind of takes those medications into consideration.
Yeah, and really, I will say this too. That contraption you use is great, and getting through TSA never a problem. So I don't want anybody to worry. When I worry about it getting warm or something, it's because of me directly affecting it somehow by misplacing it or dropping it or something. But if you're someone who wants to travel with your shot, there really is no reason to worry unless you have some sort of anxiety like I do. But seeing her now do it so many times, it's never a problem. I mean, TSA
Yeah.
just doesn't, it goes right through there, no problem. My first thought was, okay, I'm bringing a sharp object through TSA. Who doesn't want me to have 3.1 ounces of shampoo, let alone a hypodermic? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's medicine. So,
Yeah. And if you're a person who's worried that they are going to go through, it's really easy to just have it in your hand and put it right there on the conveyor belt,
yeah.
just separately. Like if you don't have TSA pre and you've got to go
Mhm.
through and take off your shoes and all of that stuff, just throw it in right then and
Yeah.
it can go through and they'll be able to see exactly what it is and
Well,
they can tell.
and yeah, and so one thing I forgot was, this isn't something new. I mean, people with like diabetes have been doing it
Right.
forever, so they're used to it and they know what we're doing when we go there. So I was just a complete noob, and I also had that just a bit of anxiety when I travel. I'm someone who likes to travel very lightly. If I could put everything I need in a tiny backpack and travel, I'm good. So that's just me. If you're like me, you may want to consider a little bit of an early jab or a late jab, but if you want to take it with you, there really isn't. I've never seen an issue, at least, so anecdotally, we've had nothing but good times and easy travels when she took her pen.
Yeah. So the next thing that we noticed is this idea of feeling like you need to eat everything or the sunk cost of food.
Mhm.
So at Disney in particular, right? It's very expensive now. We've been Disney fans a long time.
Yeah.
This week is our 10th marriage anniversary. We've been
It
together
is?
12 years. He's kidding.
We're married?
Really? Yeah, and so, I mean, we've been doing Disney a long time, and
Yeah.
we can see the changes, pricing wise, and stuff is really expensive, and so
I mean, and this is even us coming from Seattle, where it's insane.
everything's
It's America, it's the world. Everything's crazy now. I
Yeah.
mean, but yes, if you've come to Disney before or you've had friends who have done it or something, you can. Oh, it's $8 for a Coke in one of the new stores coming out. It's a level of reality that nobody here is used to. So yeah.
yeah,
So we
and
definitely feel that, like when we're spending $18 on a cheeseburger
yeah,
and some fries, it's like if you're like us at all, or at least like me, I used to feel when I started this GLP, like I must eat everything I buy because I spent so much on it. But the reality is, I mean, you all know
You
who
just
are on it. You can't,
yeah.
and you have to kind of let that go and be at peace with it.
Yeah, and that's hard to do. It's really, really hard to do, especially if before being on a GLP-1, you came from like the clean plate club.
Mhm.
It that not finishing a meal thing is really hard conditioning to get out of.
Right. Especially like when I grew up, so I'm a little bit older than you. So, back in the 70s, and I'm Italian, so, our food's our love language. So my mom, if you're not hungry, you got that oh, you only want 2 plates. Okay. But also because we were told there are starving kids around the world. I mean, they would guilt you until like, well, you got to finish that. So if you like that, and there's tons of families who are like that, but that's another challenge to do this, to kind of break that cycle. But I also think that when you're on this medicine and you're at the parks and you start thinking that way, that physically you can't do it. And so that just really comes into be of how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to feel guilty and try to force it down, which hopefully, not many of you have felt it before, but sometimes when you do eat too quickly or a little too much, sometimes when your eyes a little hungrier than your body and you forget you're on this, you get that super nauseated feeling or that really full feeling. So, if anybody has had bariatric surgery, it's kind of that dumping feeling where it's like everything's kind of going through too quickly. So it's kind of a negative loop that will kind of help you there too. But if you just have to learn to let it go and just enjoy the flavors, be mindful and say, okay, like for like now when we go, we'll split things. We'll get a bunch of stuff and we'll laugh. We just did it last night we went to, there's a great restaurant here, Paseo.
So good.
And the chef has Michelin star for the food he makes. And so we got a whole bunch of stuff and we got through maybe 20% of it, but it's like,
if even.
Yeah, but we just had to enjoy it. And so it's a challenge. You're going to find, I think a lot of you will, when you go out places, whether it's Disney or a cruise, oh gosh, where food's everywhere.
Yeah.
Or anywhere you go, anywhere you travel, there's opportunities to eat, of course. So we just found with food, it took us a while.
Yeah, I went through phases, honestly. I know in the beginning, it was hard to calibrate. And so I would get full like at the appetizer stage. And so now I'm not even touching my dinner at all. And I don't get to enjoy the dinner at all. And then I went through the phase where I had that happen enough times. I'm like, okay, let me eat a little bit less, at the appetizer stage and just kind of stop. And then I can also get some bites in at the main course stage. But like even before we were on GLP-1s, I was the queen of the take home box. That is like my thing. I'm always getting a box. And so that was like the next phase of stuff. Like I was always getting a box because before the GLP-1, like I would get a box and then like I would just eat on whatever it was like for the rest of that day,
weekend, if we went out on like a Friday.
Right. And so what happens, at least for me being on GLP-1, I'm still, accumulating all these boxes, but I can't eat that much.
Right.
And so
inevitably
boxes after boxes of leftovers.
And I'm throwing them out after 2 or 3 days. I'm like, okay, she forgot she even got this. This guacamole's now black. That's gone.
Ew. Yeah, and then like literally right now in our room here, we've got the mini fridge, and I have a box of leftovers from our anniversary dinner from the restaurant. Yeah, because they're I don't like I'm a person who doesn't like their food to touch. I like the pure flavors. I don't like tainting the artistry.
You're very weird. Yes. Very weird. No. But so that's it really. You just have to recognize it. The biggest thing is recognizing it, and then you're going to be forced to deal with it one way or the other. You can be dumb like me and try to work, power through and eat a little too much, but then you're going to pay the price. So it gets easier the more you do it, but wherever you go, you're going to have that. So if you haven't experienced it yet, you will at some point. So it's just, we've noticed this. We've seen other people talk about it. We've had friends talk about it. So we have a couple of our family members who were in a little group chat. We talk all the time about it. They've kind of just started a couple months ago. So it's really fun to see them coming through it, and they're just amazed at the different things. And so, just remember the food's great, but it's just food.
Yeah. And in some ways, money's just money too. It's kind of like we go into it now.
Too loud. My mother's up there looking at me.
Yeah.
It's okay, Mom.
We have to, when you're going to Disney and you know how much the stuff costs here, like you just kind of go into it on the front end knowing everything is overpriced, number one, just right off the bat. And two, you're never going to get your money's worth because of the way that it is being on a GLP-1. So we've decided we're kind of looking at it as we are paying for the experience of tasting these yummy flavors and the ambiance and enjoying things. And, if we get full, then we're full. And that's okay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Smaller bits. And if you're like, for me, I love a churro.
He loves
a churro. And Disneyland, especially, churros are fresh, they're crispy, they're light. Now they're also full of calories and sugar. So what we do here, what I can do out here is I can get a churro, we'll kind of split it and we'll walk around because you're doing tons of walking anyway.
Ton.
So small things like that, but you can let it go. You don't, it's like just kind of not disposable, but you get that flavor and then you get it and you're like, okay, I know what the next 8 bites will be. And I'm not full. I mean, I'm not hungry. So let's let that go. And then maybe a few hours down the line, I'll get another churro and try a few more bites or something like that. So that's how we look at it too. It's experiences versus quantities or, like consuming. So
Yeah.
it's just, that's what we've noticed. So just in case you haven't experienced that yet too, it's a couple different mindset shifts that we have to do.
Yeah. And as we're sitting here, I'm thinking of one thing that it's similar to this. The stuff that you eat where you're like, oh, this is not good. We had a couple of experiences with that while we've
Yeah.
been here, right? So
Mhm.
I love mac and cheese. And so I wanted to go and do the mac and cheese at the Cozy Cone at Disney California Adventure, which there's like a Cars Land area, and they've got like this cone that has mac and cheese in it with
It's a
bacon.
bread cone, like a bread. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was so excited to try it. And it was kind of like the mac and cheese was mid. Like it was not that cheesy, it I'm a mac and cheese fan. And so it was very plain. It just wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And the old me before this medication, I would have just kept eating that,
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? Like I don't really have that much space in my stomach, and I want good food to be in there, and this isn't that good. So after a couple of bites, I just pitched it.
Right. Yeah. And that's one thing that's, I think a lot of you who are on this will agree, hopefully, that you get a little pickier and you know that, okay, well, if I eat this, I'm not going to be able to eat now for a few hours. Do I want to do this or is there something else I want to try? Especially when you're traveling, and you have these options of little bites here and there, smaller plates. I guess that's another thing too we'd like to do now is look at the smaller, maybe get a couple appetizers to split or smaller plates if they're offered, it depends, if you go to a place that has tapas, something like that, along those lines, we've noticed, at least out here, in the Northwest and the West Coast, it seems the last couple of years, small plates have come to all different
Yeah.
types of,
Yeah, it's not
different food,
just
different
not.
ethnicities, right? I mean, Italian foods now have small plates, Japanese, Chinese, all these different places have offerings. So
Yep.
it's really nice, for people who are on this. And my thinking is the more of us who get on this, the more this becomes really a way of life, they will adapt to that. Just like when you look at the grocery stores now and the chains and the makers of food, they're already doing that. You can see, like, I just saw for cereal, they're making like high protein for those of us on the GLP-1s and stuff. So they want to make their dollars, so they're going to adjust to the demand. And I think our demands like this, with this whole new era we've come into now, it's another bonus. Really, it's not a challenge. It's like a cool little extra now. Hey, we can really enjoy small bites and go on to other things. And it's like, oh yeah, this is what other people have been doing all their lives, and I just didn't have that mindset, and I think many of us didn't have that mindset. So just another something to think of with the whole small plates and the guilt that you have to kind of just have to work through.
So let's talk about body aches and pains. And we're going to kind of break this down into 3 different areas. So the first thing that I noticed right away is, as somebody that goes to the parks kind of at least, once a year, how things feel when you're there in the park. I know the things that I'm bringing to, get prepped. Do I need to bring like an ankle brace kind of thing? Do I need to bring like the knee brace, all of that stuff, the extra padding to stick the insoles in your shoes and things like that. And
That's pride.
for the other people around us.
That's
Yeah.
right. Move it.
Golly. Yeah.
I mean,
It was really different. Even for me this time compared to this time last year, which this time last year I was pretty close. I hadn't quite hit goal yet, but I was at least 85% of the way there.
83.2%. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my feet have not hurt at all the entire time we have been here. We've been walking around, we've been standing around, we've been, doing all kinds of things. And I'm just not having my feet hurt because there's so much less weight on my feet. And that was the number one thing that I noticed for myself in terms of I weigh less, so there is less weight bearing on me, on my body. And that pain from, just carrying the weight of me around through a park all day. It's a load off literally. And it's been really nice to be able to do that and to feel good and not have to put my feet up when I get back to the room right away.
Yeah, we come from different different angles when it comes to the body aches and the weight loss and what we do. For me now, I also am free of aches. It took me a while. There's a little transition there, like I think we talked about before, when you're losing the weight, because your body, it's a scientific thing, where your body has to adjust. Your bones in your feet will actually learn to absorb different stresses from our body. So there will be a point where you're going to be sore and you can be, oh my God, why am I sore? I'm losing all this weight. Well, it's because we're adjusting. So I'm at a point now where I have no pain. But I also, I'm not saying like I'm a point of judgment, but I am much more active than Kristen is.
Yeah.
So like my step count on average goes down when I come to the theme park,
Which is
crazy
insane to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad for me to think of too. But when I came in here, I'm averaging 13,000 steps a day, which nobody has to do that. It's just me. And I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm walking our giant dog. I am, I do like to get on the treadmill. I'm kind of working into like getting a little running that way. But really, you got to be careful. Too many steps can also be detrimental to you. So for me, I'm very mindful of how I get my steps in. Is it knee friendly? Because I have a lot of knee issues. My right knee, ever since, I had a really bad football injury years ago, completely blew out my ACL, my MCL. So even now it can kind of pop out if I'm not super careful, which is why for me, we'll talk about this later, whatever. But the muscle loss on this is very critical when you have injuries that are like latent injuries that you maybe not have felt before when you have more weight on you because you weren't that mobile. That's what happened to me with my knee. So anyway.
Yeah, let's talk about the muscle use part. So
Sure.
Aches and pains around muscles. Go on.
Yeah. So you might find yourself overdoing it, especially at a theme park when you're excited, or not even here, but sometimes you might join, you might do a 5K where you are, or a 10K, a fun walk, run walk, whatever. You might go on a cruise, or you might just go to a destination, and it's those fun activities that you don't realize that wow, I am really, doing a lot. You go out on an adventure somewhere and you're kayaking or you're snorkeling, swimming. And if you don't do these things normally, they sneak up on you. And the next thing you know, muscles that we never used before are being used because we can, like when I was like 360 pounds, like 140 pounds. Yeah, I'm 140 pounds down. I got a little off before my shot started. But when I was that big, I wasn't mobile really. I could walk, but I couldn't extend. And that's the thing I've noticed now. Are the pronation, the gyrations, the ambulation, that's all much more, which is great. But you have to be kind of aware that the soreness, oh my gosh, it'll be there for sure. And then it's just recognizing your body, knowing where you're coming from, what your limits were, where you are, what you want to get to, and just, understand that depending on how your body is, you could be a little more prone to accidents,
Yeah, definitely.
injuries, and especially soreness when you're coming out to a place like this, because the vast majority of people who come to like a theme park are not prepared for the amount of walking they're doing, or just the amount of, if you do a lot of rides and you're not used to those, a lot of people grip really hard.
Yeah.
And you're tensed up, and then that night you might start getting a little neck
Kind of,
ache or
"Wow, why
muscle
did I
ache.
do
Yeah.
that?" Yeah, definitely. It
So-
is. I think one thing that I would warn people around, this is not something that happened to me, honestly, because again, I am definitely like the more sedentary of the pair of us. But getting that feeling of like, oh wow, I can do anything now. Once you are taking the GLP-1 and you start dropping a little bit, there people that are more prone to wanting to like get out and be more active, you might have to lose a little bit more before your body is in a condition that is safe to let you do some of that stuff. And that's something that I've kind of seen some people kind of learning. I didn't have to go through that because I was not at all having any like proclivities toward doing that kind of thing. Yeah, I just want to be able to do like the fun, random, everyday things that have the incidental kind of physical benefit. It's just kind of baked into everything. Like we're gonna go bowling later tonight, stuff like that, or mini golf. Like I love doing mini golf things where, like, yeah, there's physicality that's there, but it's definitely not like him getting on the treadmill. That is not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, it's like, when we look at it, I think many people, like you folks, I think a lot of us we want to be able to we want to age and be able to do normal things, carry our own groceries, walk without assistance, the activity of daily living, the ADLs, where, I don't know, I'm from medical field. These are the things we talk about. So for me, the functional fitness is very important. So like Kristen was saying, that's the majority of people, but there are people like me who, I mean, you look at me to laugh, but I come from the mind of athlete because that's what I was growing up. I've always been that way. I love being active. So for me, it's like I'm losing this weight. I start treadmill, punching bag, kettlebells, hiking, wrestling with the dog. All these things are important to me as well. So if you're like that, then you have to be maybe a little more vigilant at least when you first start out with them, because then your body's gonna let you know real quick if it's ready to, start, giving you a boxing session on the heavy bag or the kettlebells, or, for me, I just 2 weeks ago, after doing the treadmill forever, my body let me know, hey, you know what? Try jogging a little bit. And sure enough, I jogged pain-free. So you will know this. It's your body. Nobody knows it better than you. But from our two places, and then what I get to see with Kristen and people like her is they get to be really surprised.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I went the whole day today and I did this, and I did this activity and this activity, and I'm fine. So it's all great. These are all like fun problems to have. It's always keep in the back of your mind. I don't want to be preachy, but if you're like me, I make sure to keep in the back of my mind, like, I'm losing this weight. I'm so much healthier. I feel so much better. And I'm getting out of all those categories, because sometimes when you look around, you see other people who haven't started this journey yet, who should, and it's not a place of judgment. For me, it's like my heart goes out to them. And I'm just like, okay, I just wish I could.
remember how I felt.
Yeah. And we all know how those folks feel, because we feel that way no matter where we are in our journey. And like, I'm not going back to that. I can't go back. And all the complications and comorbidities that are there, and all, we're getting so much healthier, not just for now, but for 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years from now. So, the muscle, we have to listen to our bodies. They always tell us that, listen to your body. All right, fine. But yeah, you will. And your body, if you don't, your body will start yelling. And then
Yeah.
we really have to double check.
And that was the thing that I think is the most different for me with kind of body aches and pains on this particular trip. So while I did not have any pain with my feet this entire time, I had random pain that was really bad, where I had to take Tylenol at the end of the day because of the way that my body has kind of reshaped and kind of changed. Like the actual, I don't know, however my body is kind of composed right now is different than before. And so something that nobody knows, because I don't think it's ever come up before, is that one of my legs is slightly shorter than the other one. And so everybody's legs are actually like that, but most people, it's like a negligible amount. Mine is a little bit more than average. So one of my legs is actually longer than the other one. You can't really visibly see it, but it is enough where it really kind of changes how my gait is when I walk. And so for me, this time, what I was getting this usage pain on the outside of my hip and in my groin on my left side, because that's, the leg that is longer. And so because my gait is kind of over and like shifting and everything because I have to be on the shorter leg because the longer one is just slightly longer. And it's because there's the body fat that used to be there that had me walking a certain way is not there anymore. And so it's kind of shifted how my whole body moves. And I'd never felt that pain. I've never gotten that pain in that place from just using that over and over again. Um, and that was probably like the first 2.5 days that we were here. And it stopped after that. So it's like, I guess my body got used to it enough after the first couple days. I haven't had that anymore the rest of the time that we've been here. But that was really strange because I've never had that kind of pain before. So that was something I thought was really interesting, and like the way that my body is changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weird, really, really weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, our bodies are the recomposition is real. No matter who you are, no matter what your body type, no matter what your activity levels, your body is fundamentally changing for the good. But there's going to be periods there so a little bit, it might be aches and pains, like you said, new aches and pains as your body adjusts. But really, for us at least, and for what we're seeing, it's transitional.
Yeah,
It's a transitory
definitely.
thing. So just be mindful of it, and just reach out to the community, talk to one another, talk to Kristen, leave us comments about it. We'd love to talk to anybody about this. We do like preaching, a
For
little bit.
sure. Okay, so obviously I have been following this thing this entire time. You've been seeing me take little sips here and there from my Starbucks here. But one thing that we definitely noticed is that hydration is critical while you're doing this kind of thing. Like I'm always saying, GLP-1s love protein, GLP-1s love liquid.
That's right.
For me, when I am traveling, I am more susceptible to dehydration because I'm a cup girly at home. I'm always within 5 inches of some kind of a liquid. There's always a beverage. I've got my main kind of Disney snack cup that I constantly have with me at work everywhere that has always got something to drink in it. Because I dehydrate really, really easily. So I'm always drinking something at pretty much like any given moment. But when I travel, it is more critical because when, like if you're flying, that's going to dehydrate you kind of just on its own. When you're traveling, it's hard to have consistent beverages, right? Because of the way that hotels and things like that are. So I kind of go out of my way to make sure that I am having liquid accessible to me. I feel like a little bit like Gollum when he and I travel together. Because I'm like hoarding like all these beverages in our hotel room.
What do you run around caves eating raw fish? What, Gollum?
My precious liquids.
I will divorce you. Stop.
Yeah.
I'm a little different that way. I also have to be mindful of liquids in general, traveling especially. I'm a coffee nut. I'm obsessed. I started roasting. I'm looking into starting a small roastery. So for me, every day starts off with coffee, espresso, Americanos, all that stuff. Because not only do I enjoy it, I also have to taste it every time I roast a new batch, a new recipe to see what's going to work, what's not going to work. But then when I come out here to a place like here, you get kind of spoiled. with your drinks. You know what you like, and then a lot of times when you go to a place, they kind of have very generic offerings of not the best quality, let's say. So I really have to be mindful of that. One thing I like, and Kristen likes too, is like Starbucks to us is like McDonald's. You go there, you know what you're getting every time.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you go to a Starbucks here, you know, you go to Starbucks in Missouri, you go to Starbucks in Maine, in Canada, you go to Starbucks overseas. You know that iced coffee is going to be just the same way. And I can dial it in. So I know if I get an iced coffee, I can add a certain amount of milk if I want that in there, or a non-dairy. Your sweeteners, you can dial it in. Whereas a lot of times you come to a theme park, you're getting a sugar bomb, and it's a pre-mix, you know, and all that. The water can be kind of sketchy where you go if you try and do the tap water. So
Yeah, we go to Florida too. Like,
yeah,
don't drink the tap water.
well, it just depends where you are, you know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, you have to be mindful of that. So that's why I like when we come here, we'll get like a giant. I'll get like a jug to start me off with iced coffee, because if you drink coffee on a regular, and you know, don't believe me, you can look this up. You know, we always tell you, you know, look it up on your own. You know, do due diligence. But I did that. So if your body's used to that, then that coffee counts as hydration. It counts as water. So
yeah, he mainlines caffeine, so it's not going to dehydrate him at all, because he literally, I think his blood is actually just pure caffeine.
little, you know, a little robusta in there. Who knows? But yeah. So you just have to be mindful of it. That's all. And if you find like something, you get a pattern going, you know. So at home, like she said, she has her cup. At home, I know too, I have my drinks and my water. You know, I'm very mindful of that. But when you're traveling, it's easy. It's you know, grab something, diet. For me, it's like Diet Coke. Give me a Diet Coke, because I know that'll be everywhere too. But you also just want to make sure that you're getting enough actual hydration of quality, some sort of quality, whether it's even they're not the greatest option, but Powerade Zeros or something, you know, it's still full of alternate sugars, but it can affect you a little differently. So you got to choose, you know, the lesser of some evils sometimes. But you know, it's just, that's the thing with hydration. It's so easy to not, you know, get hydrated in a day when you're out, and that's going to lead to even more pains and aches and cramps.
Yeah, and
Last thing
that's
you want
the
is cramp
biggest
up.
thing. Yeah, because when you're in the parks and stuff, especially if you're not used to doing the physical activity of walking around all the time,
Mhm.
even if it's like, it's not hot here at all right now. It's been kind of chilly on some of the days.
Yeah, it's kind of overcast.
Yeah, so like, we're not sweating at all. We haven't sweat at all, like once the
Yeah.
entire time we've been here, because we're going in October. That's one of the reasons we like to go in October. It's more temperate at that
Mhm.
time. We don't like sweltering. Sweltering is not fun. And so you're not sweating out your, you know, minerals and that thing where it's like, oh gosh, we really need to get these nutrients back in and get these electrolytes. It's not really like that for us while we're here right now. But the exertion and using your muscles, that is gonna, you know, use a lot of your body's resources. And that's why it's really important to stay hydrated again, because once you come to a rest, oh my gosh, that's when I feel like if I sit down after I've been going hard doing activity, then it's like your muscles start to kind of lock up a little bit. They start to get a little tense.
Mhm.
And in addition to the hydration, you know, I think I've mentioned a few times in the past the couple of, you know, minerals and vitamins that are really critical for people if you're trying to stay away from the leg cramping that a lot of us get on the GLP-1s, magnesium and potassium. I have made sure that I have taken my nighttime regimen with my meds every night that I have been here. And those two are part of my nighttime medication regimen, because it really does prevent that cramping. Like, I have not had a single cramp up episode where I have had to like, I'm freaking out and trying to walk it off and get it to go away. And so that is so important to do while you're doing these trips.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like a sneaky depletion when you're exerting energy, but especially if you you know, come from an athletic background, and a lot of times you're sweating all the time during all your workouts. So it's easy to equate, oh, I've lost all this because I sweated it out. And that's true, especially like with sodium. That's a big, but also, usually, despite what Gatorade wants to let us think, 15 minutes of sweating doesn't mean we should slam a blueberry Gatorade down and call it good. Usually it's after an hour of intense, workout where you're sweating and resistance training, then, or running, then you hit that to replenish. So but that's sneaky depletion where I'm not sweating. So I don't, I'm not depleting anything. That can kind of catch us all by surprise. So yeah. And I was the same way. I was not a very compliant patient for a while. I was not taking just my regular multivitamins every day and supplements, and then I would get hit with the worst Charlie horses. And then I'd start with the Charlie horse, and then that would lock up, and then my calf would lock up.
Oh, yeah, everything starts joining in. And the reason that happens is because it's a cascade in your muscles. There is a chemical reaction that is happening with two different types of chemicals, and one of them initiates and tells your muscles to do that hardcore tense up. And in that cascade, it goes through, and there's a period it's going to keep doing that until the other chemical that tells your muscles to release and relax comes on board. And if you're flooded, basically kind of cellularly, if you're flooded with the one, the other can't get in, and it's not going to release until you can get that to happen. And so it is just really, really easier to just prevent that from happening at all in the first place, because it is so painful. I've had it happen too many times in the past, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, what's next?
Alcohol.
Booze.
So okay. I am not a big alcohol person, generally speaking.
Sure, Kristen.
He's kidding.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, a little bit goes a long way. But when you are on a GLP-1, I have found that a little bit goes even further. You can get pretty
lit.
Yeah, pretty litty pretty quickly. And it doesn't take very much. So for people who are expecting that they're going to have a good time, just maybe sip on one drink, like you may become a bit more intoxicated or feel the effects of that intoxication more quickly and harder than you were anticipating you would.
Yes.
It's great when it comes to spending money. I'm a very cheap date now.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're a person, I think that maybe has some issues maybe in your past around addictive behaviors or around alcohol in particular, you'll want to be careful. And maybe honestly try alcohol in the safety of a place like maybe your own home. Or honestly, I think Disney's a pretty generally a safer place to be intoxicated if you are staying on property where there's no need to use motor vehicles on your own or anything like that. No temptations of, driving while intoxicated, that kind of a thing.
Well, yeah, it's all about, situational awareness, right? So it depends on who you are, where you are, who you're surrounded by, but yeah, for me, so yes, it definitely hits me quicker. But I just can enjoy more alcohol than you. That's, but you just need to understand how it affects you, and different alcohols will affect you differently. Just like before, GLP, rum might hit me this way. Vodka might work this way. Beer might work this way. For me, it's for whatever reason, like an IPA will get me drunker, I guess, or, more, altered than like a cocktail. It's just weird, but I know that. So I'm not a real beer drinker anyway. I like Guinness. I could Guinness all day. I know exactly how I respond to it. I love the taste of it. Always have, always will. But when we come here, we have like a sweet drink. You got to factor in the extra sugar.
Yeah.
And if it's a heavy pour or a light pour, or so yeah, alcohol is going to affect you quicker for sure. Just even if it's just the loss of the body weight, that'll affect you. But I also think there's something else in there in your body going on too, where you're just processing things more effectively, maybe. But
Yeah, or just differently.
yeah, again, anecdotally, but we've noticed it. People we've spoken with on this have noticed it for sure. We just had our Uncle T was on a cruise a couple days ago, and he actually lost weight, and every day he had 2 mango margaritas.
Yeah.
So, but he enjoyed them. He spaced them out, and that's all he needed. It made him happy every day. So, that's God bless him. So it's just another thing of getting to know that. Don't go out there and just grab that, that giant, 15-gallon pina colada that we used to
Yeah, you
have.
probably don't need it.
Yeah. Just start and just sip a little bit and just let it affect you. And then you'll know. I mean, you know yourself more than anybody does. So, but yeah, it is fun. It's still enjoyable and all that. It's just, we don't need as much for sure. Yeah. All right. What's next?
Okay, so body dysmorphia. This is something I've been wanting to talk about. So I thought, why not here? This is, a good time, and we definitely had multiple examples of this kind of going on. There is a phenomenon I know so many of you have had, because I see people talking about it all the time, and I have definitely experienced it. It's
Do tell.
We're losing weight so quickly, a lot of us, and so consistently
Mhm.
that it takes your brain time to like catch up with that. And so you see yourself in the mirror, and you sometimes you don't think you look any different at all, or you see yourself still at your older weight, that weight that you were before the amount that you lost. And it comes and goes sometimes. Like there are days when I will look in the mirror and I'm like, yay, I really like how I look today. And then there are other days when I'm thinking, oh, I feel so fat today. I just look physically bigger than I am. And that is where you've just, for me, I try to have, things that are reminders. A person is a great reminder. So if I'm saying like, Jason's like, shut up, you look amazing, like, stop.
Yeah.
Or the clothing that you are wearing, that is a thing that I would reality check myself with like all the time. It doesn't matter what I think. I'm clearly wearing clothing, and this is the size that clothing is, and so I can wear this, which means that this is really the size that I am in. I'm not squeezing into it. This is really the size I am. I find that just doing something to reality check yourself when you're having that occur, is really, really critical. And I honestly, I really don't know how long it might be before I stop having that happen on occasion. I get it. At least once a day?
Dysmorphia affects everybody. Everybody, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what they identify as, what sex, what gender, anything, right? So me coming up, I've had dysmorphia almost all my life, and I don't think a lot of people understand when you're a young kid like me coming up and you play sports, especially back then. We, did the best we can, but we didn't have all the knowledge we have now coming into this of kids and how they grow and develop and their different sides of them and everything like that. So if you're a kid like me, you're all about, I'm playing football, I gotta get stronger, my muscles aren't big enough. You look in the mirror, I'm smaller. And then for me in particular, I kind of was at the head of that class. So I was the bigger guy, I was a stronger guy. I was playing when I was on the when I was a freshman, I was playing on the real squad, the senior squad. It was one of those deals. Yeah. When I was before that, I was touring. Our football team would play, as middle schoolers, we would go play high school teams and beat them. So for me, it was a quest of I got to get bigger, 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 because that's all that's being thrown at you. So dysmorphia comes so many ways. And then later on in life, when I was powerlifting, you want to talk about dysmorphia for like a dude, just for me, it's like you can never be big enough in powerlifting. So I'm over here, and then that leads to things too in your life where you can, at least I'm just talking from my point, you can injure yourself, which I did. I herniated a disc because I was deadlifting, and I finally got to the point where I deadlifted 405 pounds and I locked it out. And I'm like, hell yeah. And I'm like, just left it there. And then I could feel the tear in my shoulder and my back. And so anyway, for dysmorphia, that can hit you that way. And then you come into this. And then of course I had so many years as being super morbidly obese. I mean, I was over 500 pounds at one point. I think we talked about it last time where I was so big that I became invisible to everybody. So yes, dysmorphia happens all the time. Like Kristen, you were saying, like a lot of you have shared with us, which is awesome. I love hearing about your stories too and your journeys because it inspires me. You all keep me going for sure. My goofy butt on here talking. I don't know why you like it, but here I am. But anyway, so dysmorphia, perfect example, this hoodie. I'm used to wearing, this is back when you and I first got together. I was like a 3XL, maybe even a 4. So I got a hoodie because it was cold. So we were looking and I was like, oh my gosh, I looked at an extra large. And I'm like, this is going to be too small on me. There's no way.
Why are you pulling out an extra large right now?
Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I took the large out, this is the large. And this is almost too big on me. And I know it's going to sound silly, but I looked in the mirror and my mind is not there yet. It just doesn't see it. All I see is like, oh. But after a few minutes, I'm like, okay, I have to accept, you know what? I'm not that person. I'm a different person. It's okay to say, I look pretty okay. I'm not huge, but I have dysmorphia all the time. I never feel that way. Even when we're walking around out here or wherever, I'm at home and I'm like doing whatever. That dysmorphia is so ingrained in so many of us, I think, that it may never go away, but we just have to recognize it's there and put it in its proper place because dysmorphia is real.
And that is the part where I honestly, I don't know if it'll ever go away. I mean, I feel like some of it does come from whatever a person's past experience is like, because, for Jason, I mean, he started out life not obese, not overweight, very fit, he was getting recruited for football. And I have spent my entire life overweight and obese from small, age 6. And so when you are used to being a certain way for so long, it really does take a consistent effort to get your mentality out of that in a lot of ways. I have only just, maybe in the past 6 months, maybe, I don't suck it in when I walk around anymore, right? Like everybody does that, right? Like you're walking around
like steel.
No, not my.
I know.
I'm not, like trying to suck in my ab muscles or whatever, like to look skinnier when I'm walking around. And, I'd always do that in the past. And maybe only the last 6 months, I haven't done that.
Here's another thing too. I don't know how many of you, if any of you do this, but this is like a big fella thing that I know I used to do all the time. A lot of my bigger dude friends do it. Is the t-shirt tuck. You tuck down, like you're always pulling at the bottom of your shirt when you're a big guy. You always do it. It's just one of those things, or you kind of poof it out like this a little bit. Like it's just something you do because you're so uncomfortable with how you look. You just think it's going to do something to help, and it never does. And then I just realized I never do that anymore. I just sit down and I'm good. So it's those small little, what's that called? NSVs, non-scale victories. It's like that. Or like when you travel and you're in the airline seats. God knows nothing makes you feel horrible or better than that damn seat and how you fit in it And
Yeah.
because if you're like me, at least that was my big fear of going to theme parks and airplanes is like,
Will we fit?
I have to sit in this seat, but can I buckle it up? Or, you know what I mean? So, because it happened to me a few years ago. We went to Universal. Harry Potter didn't like me. I was too fat. Hagrid's fine, but I wasn't. And I was very upset. No, I wasn't upset, but I was, a little bummed, but I couldn't get in the seat.
The
Yeah.
one cast member on, gosh, which one was it? It's the one where we went into,
The Tower of Terror thing where he jumped up and said,
yes,
"Man."
that guy. Yeah. Like he did him a solid. He like jumped up and put like his entire weight
Yes.
down to make the thing click. So if it clicks and it lights
We're
up,
at the
you're
Doctor.
safe.
There's a Doctor Doom ride where you strap in and it just shoots you straight up like 10 stories and you fall down.
0G. Yeah.
And this is way back. This is years, like we were just barely married back then. And I was super big and I couldn't get the thing to click because I was super big. And so this guy, he just stepped out of like Stranger Things. If you watch Stranger Things, the pizza delivery guy, you know who I'm talking about, right? Just totally chill. He's like, I got you, bro. And he literally took a running start, got airborne like he was doing a DDT out of wrestling, and he slammed on that thing and it clicked in.
Yeah.
And that's the point where I thought, that's cool, but now I'm gonna die because I am not by any means of nature or science should I be in this clicked in, right?
Yeah.
And then he gave me a thumbs up, and next thing I knew, I was skyrocketing to see God. And then we hit up there, and we came back down. I made through it, but yeah. And I know a lot of these places have the seats. Check yourself first. But I'm gonna tell you right now, when I was rocking 360 pounds, they put those seats right in front of everybody.
So yeah,
I was like,
can you put them on the side?
Hey, everybody, here comes Fat Boy. Fat Boy, sit on down.
Yeah.
Oh, you're too fat. Bye-bye. It's one of those things. They just don't think of that, right? Like when you go to restaurants and you're a big person and they're like, oh, come on over. I'm like, do you not see me? You think I'm gonna sit in this? I can fit in this? I mean,
Yeah.
so is that like that benevolent ignorance that we talk about a lot of different sections of our lives? But so these are the things with dysmorphia. When you go through those are traumatic and they stay with you. They really do. And even our therapist, like I know my therapist, shout out Dr. G. These things travel with you. They don't necessarily go away. You just learn to deal with them and say, I accept you. I've had this in my life, but you know what? Here I am now. And if you haven't reached that point yet in your journey, you'll get there. It's a matter of time. And like I said before, with me, I've gone weeks and weeks without a change in my weight, and then it changes. Also, I've noticed lately, the closer I'm getting to my goal weights, I might not even lose any weight, but my sizes and everything that I'm wearing change. So honestly, I know it's so easy for me to say, and we said it before, but especially with dysmorphia, recognize it and accept it and trust the process. It'll get better.
So yeah, I mean, that is why I think we're going to jump and let's talk about the shopping sprees, because I think that this actually fits really well with what we've just been talking about.
Yeah.
So just like how Jason first just kind of grabbed the wrong size, and I was like, what are you doing? This is like way too big. Like, you get to a point where suddenly, at least for me, as somebody who was always in much larger sizes, I think probably the largest size that I was in most consistently would be like a size 20. And right now I am in it, depending on, what brand it is, I'm in a 5 or a 6. Which is insane to me to even say out loud. And so the shopping sprees, for people who love Disney, part of the thing is going, and you've got the merch that's coming out at whatever period of time that you're going out there. And there's only certain things that are available at certain times, and you've got to get the thing that year because it's not going to come back again.
FOMO. Yeah.
Right. Definitely.
For sure.
I made a huge mistake, and I would consider, consider what happened with me, and maybe you could not have to spend as much money as I spent making this mistake. This is really obvious if you sit down and think about it for a second. But it's one of those things that I didn't really think about until I really kind of thought about it. And that's when you're at a larger size, there's a lot more variability of like your weight and how big a person is in that size before you go down to like the next size down. So, I mean, a person who is in a size 20 or a 2X, I mean, we've all seen there's many different sizes and shapes of bodies that fit into that size. And so when I would lose, and I was losing and losing down, you've got that period of time where you're trying to make the clothes that you have work already, because you don't want to buy a ton of stuff in a size that you're not going to be in. So you're trying to ride things out and stay in that outfit. You do the pinning, you do the clipping, all of that stuff, so it doesn't look crazy, and you do that as long as you can, and then finally you're down and you're in the next size down. By the time I started getting closer to the end of the weight loss phase for myself, I was in sizes I had never been in before. And so it turns into this thing where it's like, I literally don't have any clothes that are old clothes that I can size into. So I had to buy new things. But the part that I really wasn't thinking about is at larger sizes, there's larger variability of how long you can wear those. At smaller sizes, there's not. And so I was buying clothing I shouldn't have been buying because I wasn't going to be in that size for long enough to even make it worth purchasing. I mean, there were things that I bought last year that I wore maybe one time. And they're too big now. And too big in the way where it just doesn't look good. Like you can't really make it work and do that kind of fashion thing with it. And that's what happened with a lot of my Disney stuff, which makes me really sad because there were some pieces in like certain colors that I really love, stuff that I would really want to have, and I can't wear it because it's just too big. Because when I bought it, it was, whatever size that was, especially if you buy unisex stuff. At Disney, they have a lot of unisex things, and you should always get a size down from your actual size because it's made to fit, men's and women's bodies.
Right.
And so it's for any body type. And so there's stuff that I really, really like, and I'm never going to be able to wear it because by the time I realized, oh, I need to get a smaller size, it was gone. Because that's the nature of shopping at Disney. And so I would say you have to maybe try to find a way to balance because you've got on the one hand this just giddy glee of, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can wear this size. Like you're picking up like sizes and it looks so tiny. And so then the body dysmorphia is coming in again. Like I couldn't possibly, right. And then not only does it fit, like, oh, actually you need, right. Yeah. With the unisex, maybe you need to go down to an extra small, which is like, what? Like, what? How? And so you're like, oh my God, I want this. And I want, like, you just want to start getting all of the everything. But if you are not done with your journey, don't do shopping sprees because you're going to waste so much money if you are not at where you really want to be at maintenance. The one thing that I think is the caveat to that is what Jason did. And I like that. Jason was like, you know what? I said, babe, maybe get a medium. Like this is almost too big even in the large size right now. And you won't be able to like wear this for very long because you're going to be smaller. At this time next year, this is going to be too big. And he's like, I want to celebrate how I feel and how I look right now. And so he got like this piece in this size. And he knows that he probably like will, not be able because it'll be kind of big in a year or whatever. But
well, yeah. So, and another thing too is it depends on where you are. Like, coming from the Pacific Northwest, we're all about the layers. So when I like to do right now what I call surgical shopping where I come in with a target. I know I need 3 more shirts, a pair of pants, and a t-shirt for now as I'm transitioning from this size to this size. So let's go find the best deal I can. We all have our different styles and our different way. For me, it's like, I just gotta, it's REI, it's a lot of outdoor wear, all those lines. I like that. That's who I am. So, I am full Pacific Northwest dude. So if you see me, I'm gonna be rocking plaid and, a Pearl Jam t-shirt under it or something. But it's just knowing but I also do the math. So it's knowing what you can get and is it going to be worth it. So for this, it might be, yeah, it will be bigger, of course, but I like to layer things under it. So this will be great for me to have a couple shirts under, a vest over when I'm, running around with Yeti in the winter and stuff. It'll be worth it for me. And it's also, in my mind, it's that sunk cost theory with clothes. So I know, like, I'm just going to get a new one when we come back in a year. That's okay. But in the meantime, I will use this a lot because it's a nice thing, at least here at Disney. The clothes here are very high quality. They last. I can beat the heck out of these things and they'll last a long time. So yes, I am with you 100% on these shopping sprees. Don't go crazy like I did too, or don't go cuckoo bananas and buy 15 things at your certain weight. Just understand that, and you're so right. The lower weight you have to lose, the margins are so much different versus
so bizarre to me, honestly.
yeah. So it's just, yeah, I love what you said about that. I agree 100%. And then if you be mindful, that's a big thing I think with us is on this whole journey is mindfulness of, doesn't matter if it's your body or your shopping or eating, whatever, it's all you. It's you, what you like. So, but also I will say, if you like something, get it. Because if you're like me, you've gone years without really getting anything that you actually thought looked good on you or liked
Yeah.
or liked to wear, or just something like, you know what, that's not for me, but I love that. I wish I could wear that. You can wear that and you can get it. And that's the part of the whole body jealousy and body dysmorphia is at least for me, is okay, who's going to look at me like I'm crazy? Well, you know what? Who cares what people think? No, and the real kicker to that whole thing is I had to realize is I'm such a narcissist for thinking that, because nobody cares about how I look. Like, I'm not the main person. So, and that's hard. It's easy for me to say to people, but because self-consciousness, is hard. And if you've gone down this and you've lost weight or you're in the process of losing that weight, it's a challenge. But yeah, so remember that too. If you find something you like, treat yourself, like Kristen was saying, but also don't, try not to spend, a bazillion dollars if you're not going to be wearing that in 6 weeks or 8 weeks.
Yeah, because you will be so surprised at how quickly it changes.
Even if the scale does, sorry to interrupt, but even if the scale doesn't change, if you're still the same weight, you will be amazed at some points. Like, I haven't lost a single pound in a month, but I'm somehow down like half a size or something. Like, this shirt is definitely smaller on me, or these pants or whatever.
Your body is still changing.
Yeah. So those plateaus are real, but keep that in mind that your body still changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always good at reminding me about that.
Yeah. And that does get into this idea of like body jealousy. So that's the next thing. And this is something, I mean, I'm going to admit it. I've got a lot of body jealousy now, which is,
You're jelly.
for me, I mean, in the past, like I don't really envy other people's bodies. That's not been a thing for me, and I do now, and but not just in general, though. It's not like, oh, I'm, very specifically. And at some point, I am going to make a video that kind of goes into the science around some of this, but the way that GLP-1s work and the areas of the body that they target, like, because GLP-1s do target certain areas of the body first before others. My ass is gone. It is gone. It is like, if a body could have a concave ass, that is my ass. It is gone.
Oh boy.
I never had like that much of a badonk anyway, even, when I was at my very highest weights. there's nothing back here. Like, I mean, it is, and he's laughing and he knows that this is just like the one thing that it is completely flat. I mean, there is no cheek meat at all. It is so flat. And so I'm at Disney right now, and especially here at Disney in California, in like Anaheim, it's a very locals based park. So like there are people that like live here in SoCal and Orange County that they just come and like hang out in this area and stuff all the time.
Butts.
Yes. They've got these SoCal butts, okay?
That's her words, by the way.
Yes, I said
every day
these SoCal butts. Yes. They've got these SoCal butts. They are coming out here. Like they've all got on like the kind of like the leggings. Like they're looking snatched and cute, and they've got their ears and everything. And like I can rock the ears, and I've got my little fashion and stuff going, but my butt is flat as a pancake. And like they all have like nice little butts, like not even huge donkey butts, but like just, I mean, they have butts at all, is what I'm saying right now. I am so jealous because I have zero butt, like no butt at all. And I have just been very, very jealous.
So do you have no butt or no butt at all? I mean, it's a lot in your mind.
This is not, look, okay.
She has a butt.
I mean, everyone physically has a butt. I mean, you know, if they're a human being and, you know, there was not some kind of genetic issue, there's no cheek. They're the cheeks. They're just like, hello, goodbye.
So you're jealous of butts.
I'm jealous of other women's butts. I'm jealous of men's butts right now. I'm jealous of people with butts.
Just butts in general. You have beef with butts.
I do. I am beefing with beefy butts because I don't have a beefy butt.
So how do you work through that then?
How do I? Well, what I need to do
so far, but
yes, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
But now what? What's the next?
Well, I have noticed as I am doing like the butt flexing that it can kind of almost make it look like I have a tiny, tiny bit of booty. So it's the squats. That is the squats. I need to do heavyweight squats and try to grow a butt essentially, because I think I'm not one of those padding kind of people. Like, I don't know. I don't want to wear like the padded underwear or whatever like
booty
that.
Spanks.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole Spanx hold your booty in because you've got a lot of booty.
Oh, sure.
I don't need Spanx, unfortunately.
So for what I'm gleaning from this is you need to recognize why you're jealous.
And we all know why I'm jealous.
And then you need to find a reason to work through that somehow. How would you work through that?
Yes.
And then also people, I mean, we're human. We're going to be jealous of certain things. But that is, I don't know if it goes away. I don't have that. See, we're totally opposite that way. I don't have any jealousy of anyone. I'm too obsessed with myself. Like, just like, does this shirt fit? Do these shorts fit? Like, am I, you know, how do these look okay? You know, and just for my own well-being, like, I can't believe I'm wearing this size. You know, I'm working through that.
Yeah.
I don't look, you know, now when I was younger and I was more of an athlete and that stuff, hyper competitive spaces, I was very jealous of either football players, you know, other defensive ends. What were they doing versus what I was doing, or whatever position, you know, like I'm jealous of their skills or their size. Powerlifting, totally. I'm jealous of this guy.
But not how they look.
I mean, of their muscles, sure.
Yeah.
You would look at, So for their definition, yes. It's just for you, it's you know, the rear end. But for me, it'd be look like, oh, their delts, look how big and chiseled those delts are. I need to be there. Or you know, his calves are giant and he's making all these, you know, he's better than me, you know, playing football. He's getting to the whatever, the quarterback, more sacks, whatever. So for me though, right now, and I think it's just my walk of life too. I'm at a point where I really just want everybody to have fun, succeed, be happy. I know it's the big hippie in me coming out, but that's the way it is. You know, I want to make good coffee and make everybody laugh. That's me. But I understand where you're coming from, because we see it, a lot of people around us are that. You might be that way too, and that's okay. We all have these feelings. I have different negative mindsets in my mind. You know, for me, I don't have body jealousy. I judge dog owners. That's where all my hatred goes into. So that's why I don't have any
But
jealousy of bodies.
he's not even jealous, though. He's not jealous of dog owners. He's always lording his superiority.
No, I am just of one, at least where we are, and it seems to be nationwide, but we have a lot of really negligent dog owners, let their
Yeah,
dogs off
we do.
the leash. These dogs attack other dogs. Literally, I was physically attacked by a dog owner with his
He
off-leash
was.
dog trying to attack kids and then come to me. My dog, useless, sat right next to me, 90 pounds of supposed guardian dog. She just sat there as he and I just had a little standoff. I cooled it down.
It's
Anyway,
a livestock guardian. They
So,
they
yeah.
save the space, not the people.
anyway, the vet said she knew I wasn't in any real danger. So I'm going with that. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, that's where my negative space hangs out
Yeah.
versus looking at other people saying, I mean, I will notice people like Brad Pitt walks by you.
I mean,
Okay.
everybody's gonna notice.
You're going to
Brad
say,
Pitt.
dang, that's Brad Pitt.
Right, like
Who
look at
wouldn't want
that
that?
Clooney going by.
Right. Or Jennifer Connelly or whoever, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
That's a deep cut.
Jennifer, I just saw her in a movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, it's horror month. So for me, I love horror movies. So anyway, yeah. So I'm just putting people out there. So anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like the celebrities, the super fit people, whoever you want, whoever's occupying your mind, that person.
Yeah.
You're gonna notice that and say, wow, of course, yeah, boy, I wonder how it would be to be that person. But I don't sit here like you and be like, but look at that butt. I have no butt,
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to work through it. You got to recognize it, work through it.
Back
Right.
when I had like a small, not like very, what's the word that I'm thinking of?
Oh, I don't know. I think it went out the door with your butt.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I had an unassuming butt. I had a
Oh.
small, unassuming butt. I didn't look at other people's butts because,
Proper butt.
right? Like, I mean, I always knew I kind of had like a not that
Little,
great butt. It was just an okay butt,
Look
right?
at that butt. It's proper. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Anyway, that's a lot of butt talk.
Yeah. All right. Off of the butts.
Yeah. Anything else, though, jealousy wise, you want to talk about?
No.
Good. Let's go on to something else.
Yeah. All right. So here's something that I think a lot of people deal with across weights. But this is something that we notice with changes because of being on a GLP-1, chafing and irritation.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, I mean, before the GLP-1, when we were at higher weights, I mean, like I can tell you all for a fact, I never wore shorts. Like I didn't even own a pair of shorts because I did not like all of that rubbing. And then the shorts would ride up, there's like that whole like thing. And I just stayed away from that because I was not interested in getting that chafing and irritation and stuff happening. But so that's why it's so weird to me now that because we're on the GLP-1s, there's, so much skin because of the amount of weight that we are losing. And you get weird chafing and irritation, like at places that,
It's just, yeah. So it's just, this is something I thought maybe like I was suffering, like, and I didn't really hear much talk about it. Because some people, it's kind of embarrassing or something. But, then when you find different groups, like I know I was on a subreddit looking through one time and someone put up a post about it. And I was like, holy crap, there are hundreds of people about this. So for me, oddly enough, I'm amazed at how little I have of that. Like I was afraid I was going to be one giant prune when it was all done, but I'm surprised I'm not, but it's not happening. Thank God. But I do have spots like, like on the side, a little bit like on my side that, especially when I work out, like when I'm running or jogging, I have to make sure it's the way it is. It's our bodies, there's going to be that possibility of the irritation. So it's a real thing. And then as the more I studied it, looked into it, of course, it makes sense that tons of us get this. So yeah, it's something to be, especially when you come to a theme park, you do a lot of walking or wherever you're going on a vacation, or you know what, even if you're traveling for your job and you're going to seminars and you're walking around, you do a lot of walking out there. You're in your hotel, walk places, doesn't matter. This is something that can happen to you. So if it does, don't be alarmed. It happens to tons of people. So, it's just, make sure you get a little talcum powder or some sort of cream or something. Talk to your doctor if it's really bad or something. Luckily for me, it's just like, for me, a little talcum powder goes a long way. So,
Yeah,
but
I have needed to kind of really we found Lumi, like that Lumi deodorant, like the cream that comes, that is actually really great. I found I scarily, I don't want to go back to my butt too much, but
let's not go back to the butt.
we're not going there. Yeah,
Go
ew.
away from the butt.
Yeah, it's because I don't have a ton of meat. I still have skin. And so, there's places where skin
Like anywhere you can get a little fold.
right, any place there's a fold, right?
Gotta
That
be
a
careful.
fold kind of didn't used to be there,
Mhm.
If you can get dermatitis, just because your skin is not it's not, uncovered in places where it has been in the past. I've gotten some of that, in some places, kind of on my hip, around on the sides near the front. And that's a place where just something like really mild like that is really helpful.
And so, yeah, what we've seen, like in reading the different chats, on different subreddits, different groups, whatever, that a lot of people have a lot of different versions of the chafing irritation. So everything from plain old talcum powder, like the baby talcum powder, to gold bombs.
Gold bond.
Yep. To and then some people, depending on the type of irritation, it could be if it's fungal, people will use tinactin or something, or antibiotic or hydrocortisone.
Mhm.
But one thing we've noticed, at least reading through them, like this hasn't happened to me or you, but if it gets worse, no matter what, then obviously you want to seek
Go to your
treatment.
doctor. Yeah.
Go to whatever provider you have, or get some consult on that, because it could be something worse. And the last thing you want to do is end up having some sort of fissure or something where it gets a deeper, more well-rooted infection going on there, because that's when it can get scary. So, it's just one of those things. It's going to happen if you're active at all, even if you're not active, because, the folds are folding in, and the place that used to get air no longer is. Just getting a lot of heat there, which can affect it. Or also, like Kristen was saying, parts of your body that are rubbing against your clothes now that never did before, that also can affect you. So, and then, depending on your body anatomy, different spots can behind your knees, or, under your chest, or your stomach. Those are big spots, so
Yep.
just be mindful of it. But it happens to everybody. So if you're embarrassed about it, I understand, it's just like, ugh, but it's just one of those things we deal with. And it's one of those good problems, that we can treat. So,
Definitely.
yep.
Well, we're at the last one.
Oh, thank God.
So here is something I would just like people to kind of keep in mind. If you are going on a trip to a place like Disney, or any place where you're going, and the whole purpose of whatever you're doing is going out there and just having fun and enjoying yourself, ask yourself, are you being too obsessive about your tracking while you're on your trip? One of the things that I kind of from the very beginning wanted to just decide right off the bat was I was not going to approach this entire journey the way that I always had every other time that I had a weight loss journey. And so for me, it was like, we're going to go to Disney while I am losing weight. Um, and I'm not going to do all of the, oh, I'm on a diet and da da da, that whole like thing. Like I knew that the way that this medication works, it's gonna do its thing anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and eat the thing that I want to eat, or taste the thing I want to taste and do whatever. And if I gain, if I don't lose that week, it's just 1 week. And then I'm back to my regular life and I'm doing everything that I normally do.
Right.
So if you're spending money to go and have an experience, especially someplace where honestly the amount of money that you're spending is substantial,
Which nowadays, pretty much anywhere.
right? Yeah, it's don't go into that and kind of don't short yourself the fun of that experience because you're trying to be really hardcore and tracking if you're a person that's tracking their calories. Like I mean, I'm, as you all know, I travel fairly often for work. So I have that travel scale. It's in my suitcase because it's the same suitcase that I take with everything. I didn't weigh myself this week at all. So I have no idea
Mhm.
how much. I said that when we came out here, like, oh, we gaining. But yeah, I have no idea because I'm out here to have fun. When I leave here, I'm going to go back to doing all the same normal everyday things that I always do. And that's fine. And because this is your life. This is your entire life. These are
Yeah.
the things that you are going to be making memories for and remembering. And what you don't want the memory to be when you look back is, oh, I really wish I had a tried that thing that I didn't want to try.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't weigh I when we go on vacation, just real quick, before I met Kristen, I never really vacationed. I was all about work, chasing the dollar, just that was it. But since I met her, I've now understood the importance of vacations and travel and experiences versus materials. So when I go out, when we go anywhere, I don't track anything. I'm not bringing a scale. Are you kidding me? I'm getting that cake and eating 2 bites. I'm getting that drink and finishing half of it. I don't care because it's fun. It's the experience. And like she said, and I think I said last time too, I'm sure I sound super corny, but it's your life. You deserve to have the fun. We had so much non-fun getting to this point that let's get at it. The haters are gonna hate no matter what. If they look at this medicine like a quick way to do it, then they don't understand medicine and who are they? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Don't let them in your head. Who cares about them? You're getting healthy, we're getting healthy. So enjoy your trip. Don't get obsessed with it. Don't, and that's easier for some of us than others for sure. It's very easy for someone like me, very hard for someone like Kristen. So wherever you are in that spectrum, we highly encourage you to your comfort level, track or not track when you're on this place, but you're really here to relax. And really, it's like what other quote unquote normal people would do who didn't suffer from weight issues. They'd go on the trip, do whatever they want, and then just go back to their way because the way you're living, the way we're living is so different already that you gain 2 pounds, 6 pounds, 8 pounds. It comes off because a lot of it's water weight and sodium. That's what makes all the food delicious is
Yeah.
bazillion things of sodium and sugar in it. So yeah, you deserve that fun. Have it. The end.
So that is the tea on things that we noticed about vacationing and amazingly fun places while you're on a GLP-1 medication. If you think that weight loss injections might be right for you, talk to a medical professional, preferably someone who's an endocrinologist or a specialist in obesity medicine, because they are the ones who know these meds the best. I'm not a doctor, neither is Jason. Neither of us are sponsored by any pharmaceutical companies. We are just sharing our own experiences and giving our own opinions. And finally, if you find the channel helpful, absolutely hit that trifecta. Like, subscribe, notifications, and we'll see you on the other side.
See you on the flippy.